Hi everybody, and welcome back to Everyday Manna. We're going to continue our series on long-term food storage. And in today's episode, we're going to be storing in Mylar bags. Now, we did a part one where I showed you how to do like dried beans and pasta. Today, I'm going to show you how to do flour, sugar, and dry milk. Couldn't be easier. Now, I've already filled up 3 bags. I'm going to use the gallon bags of the flour because I bought a 25-pound bag of flour because, you know, I mean, flour is used in so many different things. And I'm going to put mine in gallon-sized bags so I can show you how to do those. And again, we're going to store these in our food-safe 5-gallon buckets in a dry area. You don't want to store them anywhere where temperatures change from cold to hot, cold to hot. Store them in an area where the temperature stays consistent. Now, I'm doing these. I am not one of those that's going to weigh all this out. If it is important to you, you can do that. But what I'm going to do 10, 20 years from now or whenever I need this, I'm going to cut it open and put it into my flour container. I have like the OXO containers that I keep all my baking goods and things like that in. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's not important to me to have exactly 5 pounds of flour in my bag. I just want to know I've got flour so that, you know, if necessary, I could make bread. I could use flour to thicken gravies and sauces. You can use it for so many different things. I mean, flour is just really an essential thing in a home. At least in my home it is. If you make fried chicken, you gotta have flour. If you're gonna do pork chops, fried pork chops, or country fried steak, you gotta have flour. Flour is needed for so many different things. Pizza crusts, just lots of different things. Now, I'm only gonna show you, I mean, this is a big thing. I'll just do it later off camera. But I just wanted to show you like 5 of my gallon-sized bags. And I'm not filling them all the way up. I'm filling them to where there's about that much airspace, okay? I don't know if you see how I've got lots of room in there, and that's what you want. And I'll just set this off, and I'll do this off camera later. Then I want to talk a little bit, I'm going to save the sugar for last. I'm going to talk a little bit about dry milk. Now, this is another one of those things. I remember back when the big pandemic hit, not that long ago, you could not find dry milk anywhere. I mean, any grocery store you went into, it was gone, and online it was gone. And so this is one of those things that I like to store up because it is so good in so many different things. You can make gravies out of it. Of course, you can reconstitute it and make milk. You can cook with it. Dry milk, or the dried milk, if you have a bread machine, dry milk is used in most recipes for your bread machine along with your flour. It's just one of those things that I think is important to have in your long-term food storage. I want to take a moment and say to you, only store things that you will use, that you will eat. Don't store rice and beans if you don't eat rice and beans or your family doesn't eat rice and beans. Store the things that you're going to use. In the first part, something I encourage you to do, whether you're doing long-term food storage, which is what this is designed to last 20 plus years. Even if you're doing like short-term pantry stock up of things, we've done the bag meals together where you have all the ingredients in a gallon or 2-gallon Ziploc bag and have that ready to go. Or you just want to make sure that you've got the food for the recipes that you like to cook. take a notebook, your phone, whatever you like to keep. I like pen and paper. And make a list of the meals that your family likes or that you like if you're just cooking for you and whoever you're cooking for. Make a list of those recipes and think about the ingredients that you need for those recipes, and that's what you want to store. So our dry milk is one of those things that is a great thing to store. Something I will encourage you to do is when you get through transferring this, because as this is, it is not safe for 25 years like it will be in these Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Cut out the back with the instructions and tape that on the outside of the bag or put it down in the bucket that you're going to store it in so that you have a way of knowing what you need to reconstitute it with, because you might forget between now and when you actually use this. Now I'm going to store this in the quart-size bags because it's just going to be easier. And again, for this batch, I'm looking to fill 10 bags because like we talked about before, if you missed that, let me recap it for you. We're going to be putting oxygen absorbers in this. And oxygen absorbers, buy the ones that come in, and I'm going to leave about the same amount, I don't know which one I'm looking at here, of headspace. You want to have a couple of good inches in there. And I like to just set them in a container when I'm done. The oxygen absorbers, back to them, buy the ones that come 10 to a pack. If you get the ones that are like a pack of 50 or 100, and you're not doing 100 bags, then, they're going to go bad. Case in point, these, before I knew they came in 10 packs of 10, I had extra ones that I didn't use. I immediately put them in here and put my lid on it. Now, I did not vacuum seal it, but I just put my lid on it. But my little indicator there tells me these are not good anymore. So I would not rely on these. So, but if you get these and you aim for 10 packages, you use them all up and you're not wasting them. Oxygen absorbers do come in different strengths. There's 100 cc's. I've seen them up to 1,000. There is a website that I'm going to tell you, again, if Andrea will put this up on the screen too. It's www.usaemergencysupply.com. I'm sure there's others. That's just the one that I use. If you go under the information tab, there's a chart that tells you how much or how many cc's you need based on what you're putting in your bags, because certain things need more than others. The dried, in the gallon size bags, which are what these are, obviously it needs more because it has more oxygen. For something like this, you would put about 400 to 500 cc's in there. If you're doing pasta or beans, it needs a little bit less. You cannot overdo it, but you can underdo it. So I'm going to use 500 cc's, even though that's more than what I need. That's what I'm going to use because that's what these are, and I would rather have too much than not enough. So remember, and I'm getting this all over me, to cut this out and tape it on your bag or tape it in the box somehow so you will know. I will finish this up off camera because I do want to talk a little bit about some things. A matter of fact, while I'm on that note, let me just go ahead and finish this, because sugar and salt do not need oxygen absorbers. If you put an oxygen absorber in your bag with sugar, because this is some moisture in it, not much, but some, it will turn rock hard and you won't be able to use it. Again, on that usaemergencysupply.com, it tells you this. It tells you, it's a great resource for information. It will tell you what needs it, what doesn't need it. So far, the only two things that I have found are sugar and salt. I'm labeling my bags with what's inside and the date that I'm doing it. I'm just going to do 2 more of the dry milk because I am going to show you how to do the sugar, but we don't need the oxygen absorbers for sugar. And I'm going to have 2 extra that I don't want to go to waste. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this up. These little bags, I love them because they sit up. Some of them do, some of them don't. These particular ones have little Ziploc tops on them. It's great to, after you put your oxygen absorber in there, to zip that up so that it goes ahead and, let me see if I can do this without making a mess, which I probably cannot, but let's try it anyway. Yeah, there we go. I also have a funnel. I don't want to overfill. Some things I use a funnel for. And I just stand mine up in any kind of a little container that you have so that I don't want to cut my top down because I want to cut the ingredients, or the mixing instructions rather. So I'm just going to pour the rest of this in this bag, and that'll be perfect. Is that it? Yep. But this is a great way to store up on foods that you use for when those shelves get empty. Because we all learned how quickly that can happen. Now, let's fill up our sugar, and I need another little something to set that in. I'll just use this. All right. Anything you have will work. Can you see what I'm doing here? All right. I'm going to put this in gallon bags. I have it labeled. I labeled up here, and then I realized that's where my little tab is to tear it off. If I don't use it all, I'm not going to know what's in there. So I like to go ahead and I just wrote it lower. Sugar is, you know, one of those things that is needed for so many different things. So it's one of those things that's great to have in your long-term storage. These, you know, this is what you want to do for the things that you want to keep 20 years, 30 years. Dried beans and rice and pasta and this kind of stuff, if properly contained, are good for years. If you want to use these little things, these are handy to have. You get them on Amazon, you put your bag in there and fill it up that way. You can do that. You can put it in a little container like this. You can, you know, however you can get the sugar or flour or whatever you're using in your bag. So I'm going to go with my big scooper. I love having little scoops for things like this. I find these measuring scoops are so handy in my kitchen. I have some at home too. I use them all the time. I would wear black on the day that I am doing something like this, making a mess. That's all right. It is important that you label what's in your bag because you can't see through these, which is the point. Light and oxygen are the enemy of long-term food storage. That's why these bags are not see-through. That's also why you're going to put them in a 5-gallon bucket. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. All right, there's one. There's my other one. Put the rest of this in the other one. Because this, my friends, even if you take this package and you put it in your 5-gallon bucket with your food safe 5-gallon bucket, this is not going to preserve it very long. And so I'm talking long-term food storage. So you want to repackage it into the Mylar bags for long-term. This is just a great resource. Again, think of the recipes that you make often, and that's what you want to store, the ingredients for that. Remember, these 2 bags do not need oxygen absorbers, so I'm not going to worry about them. Again, buy the oxygen absorbers that come 10 to a package, and they're sealed with your little telltale marker thing, indicator in there. That pink is great. That means this is wonderful. I'm going to actually send these back, but these come like these, where there's 100 of them, I think, in this package. It's either 50 or 100, I can't remember. But anyway, I'm not going to be able to use all those fast enough, because if you open this one, now see, this is vacuum sealed hard, and use them in here, you have to immediately, before you do anything else, get them in some type of oxygen-proof container, like a gallon, or like quart jars or gallon jars, that where you don't have as much oxygen in there, because they will go bad like this. So make sure, when I bought those, I didn't realize they came like this. So make sure when you buy them, I get them on Amazon, that you get the kind that are 10 to a bag. 10 to a pack. They come in packs of 100, but you get 10 packs. Now, in case, before I open this, in case you missed the last episode, there's a few different ways you can seal up these bags. You can use the flat iron. This is just a regular flat iron that I straighten my hair with. This is the actual iron I straighten my hair with. Doesn't melt, so you're not ruining your flat iron. You can use that, or you can get the Mylar bag sealers. The thing about this one is, I got the big one, so it'll seal 5-gallon bags. If you're eating potato chips, you know how potato chips can go stale in overnight if you don't get that air out of there? You can take the potato chip bag and seal it back up with one of these. So this is you can't do that with this, but you can do that with this. So these are handy to have, but not necessary. If you're just doing this, get a flat iron. You can get some at wherever for 10, 12 bucks. So just use that. I'll show you how to do both. So when you open this, you gotta work quickly. These are 500 cc's, which are more than I need in any of these bags, because I'd rather have more than not enough. But I'm not putting them in the Mylar, or in the sugar. I'm going to go ahead and seal up. You really do have to work quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and seal up the ones that have my little Ziploc. The next time I need bags, I'm going to see if the gallons come like that. I don't know if they do or not. I'm sure they do. I just don't have any. But these, because I'm sealing it, they're not going to be as exposed to as much air, so that I can get these done quicker. All right? Now, to do my flour, can you see? Probably not. Can you see what I'm doing here? We're going to take our flat iron. I'm going to place it at the top. Hold it for a few seconds. You see how that sealed that up? Works great. Take it, put it on the other side. I'm going to have to fill in that little gap there, because mine's not quite long enough. You can go down just like that, and you've got a sealed bag. Put it to the side, move on to your next one. This is not the time to stop and get yourself a cup of coffee, answer the phone, nothing. You really have to work quick with these. Okay. Now turn it over and do my other side. These are great. I love doing them with the flat iron. But if you want to use this little tool, be careful, that's very hot. I don't want to burn myself. What you do, turn it on. On the front is a little dial. If you're sealing up your potato chip bag, you need it on 1. But if you're doing these Mylar bags, you need it on like 6 or 7. Put it on there flat, hold down your little thing, the light comes on. When the light goes off, you're sealed. I like to double seal these. There you go. Couldn't be easier. All right, let's do this one. You cannot use your vacuum sealer machine to seal these bags. Reason is those machines, wasn't watching. The bags that are in those machines have, one side is kind of rigid a little bit. You'll notice that when next time you see one, which allows the oxygen to be sucked out. These don't have that. You can't use that machine. At first I thought, well, that's great. I can just use my vacuum seal. No, you can't do that. So if you don't have one of these, you can use the flat iron, and it works great. All right, I got those, so let me do my milk. I still want to seal these, even though I closed and I moved it again. I gotta not do that, because I can't see the front, but I have a monitor there that shows it to me. Even though I seal them, or I closed that, I still want to seal them. But you can store anything, really. I shouldn't say anything, because, things like nuts and seeds that have a high oil content, that won't work. They'll go rancid. That's why you can't do brown rice. You can do white rice, but you can't do brown rice. You don't want to put oxygen absorbers in your sugar or your salt, because it will become like a brick and you will never be able to use it. You'll need a hammer and a chisel. But that USA Emergency Supply website, I'm telling you, is a great resource for so many different things. Nobody's sponsoring this. Wallaby's not sponsoring. None of that. I'm just giving you resources that I find very helpful. Now, I am going to seal up my sugar the same way. It just doesn't have any oxygen absorbers in it. But it works the same. And then what you want to do, and this is key, when you're done, make sure that you put this in a food safe 5-gallon bucket, and I'll show you mine in just a second. Oh, that had a little crinkle in it, so let me double seal that. Watching my little light go off. When that light goes off, you're good. This is a handy, handy little tool. When you're done, you want to use a 5-gallon bucket, and you want to write on the bucket what's in there. I like to put my bigger ones in the bottom, my flour, my sugar, my dry milk, however much you can fit in there. Okay, that's good. I have more at home. And then we're going to use either a gamma lid, which I showed you before. Let me turn all this off. Has the removable lid. I get them on Amazon. And that way, if you need to get in there, it's easier, but they are a lot more expensive, actually. I shouldn't say a little bit more. The buckets are like $3, $4. The lids like that are a little more. Or you can use, those are my first ones I did, this type of lid that's like $2. You would want to put it on there. You want to label out here or on top what's inside, and then have a strong person or seal it with a Mylar bag or a rubber mallet. I'm not going to seal it because I'm going to finish. I don't know what's in there. I'm going to label it. To get it off, you can pull this off, and there's a little tool that you can get that's like $2 that lifts that right off. Have someone, I usually holler at my boys when I need my buckets done. But that's how you store long-term food storage. If the last few years have taught us anything as Americans or wherever you live in the world, it's the fact that the world can literally change in a matter of days. The shelves can be wiped out. I'm not trying to panic you. I'm trying to show you ways that you can prepare now for long term. Inflation, the prices are astronomical on food. Every time I go to the grocery store, I am like, this has got to stop. So when you see a sale on the things that you use, if you have the extra money, buy a few things. Buy some rice, buy some beans, buy some flour, some sugar, some baking soda, some salt, those types of things. And put them in your long-term food storage. I do want to encourage everyone, if you can at all do it, start little, get one thing a week maybe, but start preparing for the unexpected today, because we all saw how quickly things can change. The thing I encourage you to do first, before you do any of this, make a list of the foods that you cook or the foods that you like. And then write the ingredients for those things. And that's what you want to store. You don't want to get things that you don't like to eat or your family doesn't like to eat. Thank you for joining with me. Thank you for prepping with me. And we're going to be prepared for all this. And I'll see you next time on Everyday Manna.